start with this. Let's guess this number for 3 seconds in your mind and think what it can be. As time is very limited, I will give only 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Can anyone tell what this 2 is about? Anyone? And this is 14 crore figure. What it can be? As you have found out. Okay. Then what is 1950? What it can be?
Starting time.
Then the last one, 35,000. Employees. Let's see if you are correct. The first one was the 2, that was the initial investment of that group that I will discuss next 5 minutes. The second was just 14,000 crore. Many of you are correct. That's the current revenue of that group. And 1950 establishment, and that's on the 35,000. So these groups makes employment for 35,000 persons. So it's a giant one. So let's see if you know how many are. Just I want to answer if you know these brands at your outsides. You know, all of you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to this group. So you already have this brand at your home. So this group is basically Akij Group. They established their establishment of the plant at 1950 by Mr. Sheikh Akij Uddin. And this Akij Uddin is renowned for his Akij Biri. At that time, he started his business basically at 1950 by some struggling. I will detail you guys on that. Just giving a very glance report what Akij Uddin's group is now. They basically have the world, one of the finest flour mill now. And they have now the world's, well, you can say that in Bangladesh, this is the foreign highest development that's they have sold to the JTI. That's around 1.6 billion. And you will be amazed to know that this Akij Uddin had been so sober from 1977. He had not purchased any car, being a proprietor of 1.6 billion campaign. So now coming to the Akij Uddin's a bit detail. Basically, Akij Uddin born at 1929 in a place in Kumla, and after that he was actually admitted in the schools, but because of some distress position, he could not continue at that time. And he relocated himself at the Calcutta. At that time, nowhere it came to support him. But fortunately, what happened? He got a job in Zakaria Hotel, and he was observing from there that some of the fruit seller, they're the mobile fruit seller, they take fruits from somewhere else and have some profits. And Mr. Akij Uddin started his business by only 2 taka and had 30 paisa profit at that moment. And here the journey starts. So you see the initiator A. The way he started at around 35, then he just got back to the home after having some other works in the Peshawar. He was also in Afghanistan meanwhile. He got back to the home in Bangladesh and in Kumla. And there he started a business with his friends of some beliefs. And how foreseeing capacity Akij Uddin had, at that time he used to make Akij Biri from some lip, Tenu Biri. And at that time, Wahab Biri and Jalil Biri, this Biri was the famous for their market share. And Akij Uddin had this in mind, in his brain. If I can give some price benefits, then I will be the market leader. He had at that time 7 BDT per 1,000. This price is per 1,000 piece. So he had that belief at that moment. So how revolutionary thinking a person can have. Then he started some strategical steps. After having some business, he at that time had 2 lakh business around 1955. So he started business on the jute mills. He started trading on the jutes.
1 minute.
Okay. So then after that, if you see Akij Biri was strategically working, so they have some actually ring on the business that can separate himself. And he himself arranged the supply chain. Then he again started for the focusing being Dhaka tobacco market. He started purchasing at that moment, and also he started purchasing some tannery factories.
Please continue presentation.
Okay.
Information.
Okay, so if I am given an opportunity, so after having some opportunity, he had kind of around 1970, he had that mind, people will not allow this kind of leap biri in the near future. So he started working on the pepper secrets. And what had happened, he had been to the Dhaka after have some period and taken all the samples and had some R&D by only taste. And he saw that he had good taste than anyone else. And for that reason, he sent only 25 lakh pieces of berries to the Dhaka, and that was sold only in 7 days at that moment. And that time, Aziz Biri was so much popular in Dhaka. But even also from there, he made some price packages. He had that visions, and you'll be surprised to know that he had managed his supply chain by himself. He had managed 3-wheeler taxi by himself. At that moment, he could understand that supply chain cost can make your products some lower. So he made these things. And after that, he made some tannery purchase from the British guys and from the Scottish guys. And he sent his third son to the London to work on the leather technology so that he can grip up this business. And so I'm just telling how visionary a person can be. And after that, he purchased Dhaka tobacco at that time, around 1978, at around 65 billion BDT. So at that moment, he was something different. He could think that the bidi will be cigarette will be something major in the next thing. And if you see this transport, this was basically he's thinking to reduce the supply chain cost. He purchased 12 trucks for him. But later on, what he did, he made some Akij motors. Akij motors is one of the giant at this moment. You see Forklifts and all these things. And he also makes some plan to reduce the supply chain cost in Nabaran in Joshua. As he was saying, he is getting some high cost in the raw material purchasing, so he made it somewhere else in Nabaran and Joshua. And if you see now, in 1990, he made that, as he has some product in Biri, he might manage something that's relevant to Biri, that's match. And he got the relevancy with his product. And he established that match factory and resumed the brand, that's a dolphin. He was once a market leader. And he also simultaneously tried for the jute mills. After being rejected for the 2 times, he got that opportunity whenever he become the highest taxpayer on the raw materials. So he utilized this opportunity. He again applied to the government and got this. And later on, he thought that Bangladesh is going on garments industry. So he started garmenting from 1998. See how a man is expanding his business in different sectors and being a conglomerate. See, Akij's Food and Beverage, the person who started business selling fruits, he now started business at juice factory, that's orange juice. And drinking water, that's a spa. And at 1995 to 1998, you will see there was a time the real estate started booming. And he could foresee that. And he started having planned for the cement mill, and that was the one of the finest plan in terms of VRI. You know, at this moment, vertical rolling mill is the finest technology one can have whenever selecting for the scene. And if you see Mr. Akij Uddin, at being this age, he was so much dreams. Even at 2006, he was dreaming for the ceramics, as he was seeing that future. But unfortunately, or whatever, he just died at 2006. But his ceramic visions got turned into reality by his son at 2008. And also, they have some CSR projects like hospitals making and all this. So this is how Mr. Akij Uddin makes him to Dhaka is valuable, expanding his business into conglomerates. This is something very learning. Now these 3 guys is running this business, being his descendants at different sectors. So now it's coming to the darkest thing, it's this 1.6 billion business. Now they're trying to come in from the sugar business. They have shifted, they have sold all these things to the JTI, a renowned multinational companies. And they have started implementing this money somewhere else. So you see this is here, this is in one EPZ. They have invested 3,000 people and making actually employment for another 3,000 people. But this is how they're expanding business yet now. So that was the basics from the Akij Uddin's life. The way he managed the supply chain, the way he managed the cost, the way we are thinking as part of management, this man was the guru of management at that time. Because he has all the things at that moment. Now see his brands. I could not allocate these brands in one slide. It took 2-3 slides for his own brands. So Akij Ceramics and all this. So that was actually a revolutionary person from whom we can understand the management. The fantastic audience, thanks for listening for some.